that going to work if we just restart it then? It's not, is it? Have we actually recorded?
Yeah, we're starting again. We have recorded. This is part 2, folks.
Part 2.
Here we are. We're back.
We're back. Do you think I've talked about Yo La Tengo so far?
I don't think. Let's go again, John.
Go again. So anyway, we've been listening to a lot of Yo La Tengo since Christmas. Played the track Here to Fall off their album, arranged by Richard Evans, who was one of the 2 classic cadet arrangers alongside Charles Stepney. A very nice track, great band. I think I described them as music for grown-ups in one of my solo videos, and I think I'll still stick to that one.
There's a kind of a hint of post-rock about them, John, would you say?
Yeah.
Which and a little bit of alt country, possibly?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All kinds of things.
All kinds of things.
So rock.
I've been really enjoying Big Star 1000, Fred's more kind of give me 10 type things he's been doing. Particularly there was a really nice post-rock one, which then Mike, Bostonian Reggie also did a great selection. One of the 2 of them, I can't remember which it was, showed this, which was Papa M, live from a shark cage. And if I remember, it's Dave Pajo, who I think is the guitar player with Tortoise. Anyway, it was all new to me. I only got this CD a couple of days ago. We were listening to the track Plastic Energy Man, which had sort of some beautiful, very simple kind of picked guitar against a really kind of subby electronic rhythmy thing that was happening, really interestingly filtered in and out. Just really, really nice to listen to, and really interesting. Great stuff.
Yeah,
Papa M.
nice track, actually. Still I suppose thinking of the Tortoise connection a bit, although nobody from Tortoise plays on this track actually. I was thinking of Jim O'Rourke, little bit of the same feel to the last song that Mark played, and played Women of the World Take Over, which is of course a cover of an Ivor Cutler song from Jim O'Rourke's Eureka. And I kind of have to say I find myself returning more and more to Jim O'Rourke's music, both his kind of more song-based stuff, but also his more experimental stuff. Kind of really serious, interesting artist, I think.
And keeping with the theme of interesting artist, although I did actually show this album at our last session, it was fairly new to me, and I've just been listening to it a lot more, and particularly wanted to play the track Front Era from Phil Manzanera's Diamond Head, because it's got a great vocal from Robert Wyatt singing in Spanish. It's just a great album. I really do highly recommend it for people who like early Roxy music, who like Eno, who just like people doing different interesting things. Really nice album.
Also reminded me, in fact, Robert Wyatt did a version of Guantanamera, which has always been seen as a bit of a cheesy song. I think it was on a single as well, which is great stuff. I have no idea what the connection between that and Lucinda Williams was, but the next track up I played was from Lucinda Williams' Essence record, and it was the title track Essence. Always kind of love Jim Keltner's drumming on this album, particularly actually, as somebody's got some of his best stuff. Great husky voice, interesting songs. One of my favourite Lucinda.
I think there was something about the mood of that track that got me just thinking about. I'm not quite. I think we slightly went out of sync.
Have we gone out of sync here?
I seem to remember there was the Ry Cooder track.
Yeah, that was next. Did I play 2 in a row?
I don't know.
You must have played something. Shall I show Ry Cooder first?
Do, yeah.
Okay. Ry Cooder, Paris, Texas. The film I love. I kind of tend to watch it once or twice every kind of couple of years, and watched it a few weeks ago. Sort of classic soundtrack. Ry Cooder, Jim Dickinson, David Lindley.
And yeah, that definitely got me thinking of this, the Twin Peaks theme tune from the album, music from Twin Peaks.
Yeah.
Produced by David Lynch and Angelo Badalamenti. And just remembering, as soon as you hear that music, kind of brings the series right back. And we're just commenting, can't really imagine another TV series that could have a theme tune that was so low on the BPMs. It's barely kind of breathing, but absolutely beautiful.
I watched the whole of Twin Peaks about 18 months ago. I think it's my nephew. Somebody bought me the box set, and it's great actually. It's still good to see it. This next up is Julia Holter's Loud City Song, and this I've been sleeping on this. I have to say, bought this just over a year ago, and haven't really kind of got into it. And somebody told me you just need to listen to it a lot, and I have been. And it really, really is getting to me now. Really, she's a woman who's come from a kind of experimental background and moved into slightly more song-based kind of stuff. And I played the track Chords, Horn Surrounding Me off it. Interesting people here, people like Chris Speed, the saxophone player, and Devon Hoff, who of course plays with Nels Klein on here. This is a song-based record, somewhere between Kate Bush, Joni Mitchell, who knows actually. I definitely felt there's a little bit of David Bowie in here, which was
Yeah. Bit of Bjork.
bit of Bjork as well.
Yeah.
Really interesting. I mean, it was kind of Wire's record of 2013, the Wire magazine as well. Pressed on massive chunks of vinyl as well, which is always quite
Slabs.
nice. Slabs of vinyl.
So yes, well, it definitely got me thinking about David Bowie, and just somehow Ashes to Ashes just sounded very right. Played after that, and this just sounds great for an album from 1980. Very very, interesting, different sounding, very original, beautiful production. Yeah. I mean, for me, I don't like the whole album, but there's some absolutely fantastic tracks, particularly on side one. That was one of them.
Kind of another tenuous link actually, but I listened to Portishead a couple of weeks ago actually from Dummy, the track Glory Box, and I'd say for me a lot of music from this period is not working for me at all, but this record still sounds really, really strong, really powerful record actually. Sure everybody knows this, but I mean if you haven't listened to it for a while, chuck it on. Actually, sounds really, really good. The track Glory Box.
Yeah, I mean there's some absolute killer tunes on there.
Yeah.
Enormous bass sound coming out of that on our speakers.
Yeah, very,
here.
very good.
From a sort of similar-ish era, and I guess with kind of quite an ambient vibe, and I think this was Lavelle who had shown this fairly recently in a video, which is
Not
The
James
Roots.
Lavelle.
Not James Lavelle, no.
Okay.
The Roots, Illadelph Half-Life, and the track we listened to was One Shine, which is in fact pretty much an instrumental track with some sort of scatting vocals and Steve Coleman on the sax. Just great actually, kind of sort of trip-hoppy, but without knowing it wasn't necessarily. Very nice production.
Great. I think that and Things Fall Apart are my favourite kind of Roots albums. And in fact, we often find this when we do a session. The next record in my box to play was another Roots record. So there's kind of synchronicity going on there as well. Partly, maybe it was the Steve Coleman connection, but also as we were talking before about that Mark recently met Dave Holland.
That's right, I did last week.
And which was somebody I'd love to meet actually. And I thought of playing a track off Complicit the Birds actually, the Dave Holland quartet record with Anthony Braxton, Sam Rivers and Barry Altschul. Other people have shown this I know in the past, but I think it's on a lot of people's favourite record lists. Very beautiful, and played the title track off here. Great album actually. ECM early days sound of it's fantastic. Also, my copy seems to be peeling off. I don't know anyone else.
You need a Blake sleeve there, John.
I think it needs more than a Blake sleeve. I think it needs a rescue. Something.
So I did get to meet Dave Holland week before last. He was doing a week at the Royal Academy of Music, working with the jazz students there, and I know the guy who runs the director of jazz very well, and his wife to be. So was invited to go and sit in on a Dave Holland masterclass, which was absolutely fascinating. And he didn't actually play the bass at all. He was critiquing different lineups of the students playing their own tunes and then receiving his feedback and then playing them again, often quite differently. And yeah, fantastic, very humble, really, really lovely man, beautiful aura. And yeah, here he is again on another absolute classic album, Feast of Kilimanjaro, Miles Davis, the one before In a Silent Way, the one where the transition from the kind of acoustic to electric thing has started to happen. And yeah, half the tracks have Ron Carter and Herbie, and then we see a Chick Corea and Dave Holland stepping in, and we listen to the track Mademoiselle Marbury,
which is for Betty Marbury, who became Betty Davis, of course. I mean, I just love the sound of that record. It's so spacious, and Tony Williams' drumming is just. I just, for me, he's my favourite drummer. I think I have to admit. Then, seems to have gone wildly off kilter.
Off
Actually,
beam.
Off beam. We might have had a break.
The spirit was.
The spirit's there as well. I've been. I'm a bit obsessive about music, and as well as listening to Yo La Tengo, I have to say since Christmas, I've been listening to a lot of Neil Young, and played the track "Will to Power." Is it called "Will to Power"? Actually, what's it called? Sorry, just 1 second. Talk amongst yourself. Will to Love. Sorry, Will to Power is a book by Nietzsche or something. Play the track "Will to Love" off American Stars and Bars by Neil Young. Really, really odd track. I mean, people talk about weird music. I mean, this is somebody singing about themselves, imagining themselves to be a salmon. Okay, with very beautiful song, but it's a quite strange song.
It was working.
Working, in fact, sounds great.
Yeah. Well, a very strange. I think actually during this period, my wife had appeared, and was sort of chatting to us. So we slightly lost our musical thread a little bit, which must explain why I then put on a reggae 12-inch, which I'd picked up today from a shop, a very, very good price.
£2.
£2, 2 nicker. Ken Booth, a cover of Is It Because I'm Black, the Syl Johnson track.
Great stuff.
Yeah, very nice.
Sounded really good.
Yeah.
So there's also no connection at all between that track and my next track, which is Tindersticks. And basically I played Can Our Love of Tinder. I mean, I kind of always had a very soft spot for Tindersticks. Was slightly involved in a previous job when they played in Central Park with a string group. Just always liked their music, like their the great songs. And this is from their album Can I Love, and played the title track.
And it sounded very good.
Yeah.
Again, no connection whatsoever, apart from just good music. This is an album that I've picked up fairly recently, Holger Tsukai, Movies. This was one of his first kind of post-Can solo albums. I think it was maybe his second. Anyway, 1979. So ahead of the game, Holger. You know, I mean, this was, I think, predated the David Byrne and Brian Eno in the Bush of Ghosts album.
Kind of around the same time. Yeah.
Maybe just a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
But he was using all of his Stockhausen influences and just capturing lots of little snippets of radio and TV. He was sampling before sampling existed, really, and just such an original sort of set of sounds. Actually, we listened to the track Hollywood Symphony, which takes up most of side 2. Most of Can are on this album. Rebop is also on the album. It's Connie Plank's involved. Recorded at Inner Space. Great sound and amazing kinds of sounds. Definitely. And really, really recommended. Just somebody who was just out there very much doing his own thing, and a real sonic pioneer, I would say.
And of course, around this time, he made 2 records with David Sylvian. This time, 2 duo records, and I've heard but not got the album he made before he joined Can, the solo record, which is again quite an extraordinary record for
Before Monster Movie.
Before Monster Movie, yeah. which is I think it's been re-released a couple of times, but I don't have a copy of it. I'm sure somebody out there does. No other connection really, apart from interesting sounds. Really, then almost like the obligatory Sun Ra record, really, which I have to play every. And this is the re-release of Sleeping Beauty on Art Yard Records. Beautiful label, actually, who've done a fantastic job repackaging, remastering, actually, in some cases, I think, or certainly cleaning up a whole load of Sun Ra recordings. A guy called Peter Dennett, who lives in the UK, and played quite a big chunk of the track Sleeping Beauty of this. This is kind of 70s period Sun Ra. Played about 2/3 of the track, including the incredible John Gilmore tenor solo on here. Good job, Art Yard, to keep it going.
Bit of a Languidity
Very much
vibe.
Languidity S5.
Yeah.
This used to be the rarest Sun Ra record, actually, or certainly the most expensive one, and even the re-release seems to cost a few pounds now.
This is the CD Dysnomia, the album Dawn of MIDI, and big shout out and thank you to Roger Coleman for talking about this, actually, as his kind of big hit of 2013. Really fascinating, really fresh and original piece of music. I guess it's loosely I guess it's sort of jazz, but it's kind of like live techno, but actually much more interesting. Drums, bass, and piano. Just sort of tracks kind of morphing, just little changes. Really interesting to listen to. Fantastic recording. Yeah, really. I mean, still just listening, but really highly recommended. Thank you, Roger.
On Thirsty Ear, which is a very, very good label. We've done some all kinds of good stuff, actually. And then, just because I'm obsessed, I played another Neil Young track just to annoy Mark. Off Prairie Wind played the track It's a Dream, just because I think it's gorgeous, really, and it's a kind of good night track. I'll have got out of my Neil Young obsession by the time you next do it.
Well, I had one track left, and I also picked this album up just before Christmas, and really wanted to play the track Surf's Up from the Beach Boys' Surf's Up album, which sounded absolutely beautiful. Beautiful.
Gorgeous.
Beautiful Brian Wilson classic, fantastic coda at the end. And yeah, just ended the session rather perfectly.
Yeah.
So, that's all from us.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for watching.
If you have been.
If you have been. If
you
you've made
haven't
it through to the part
That's
2.
right, part 2.
And yeah, we always like to hear any comments, any questions you have.
Yeah.
We must say a big hi to Mr. Sublime Media, who is Jonas.
Yeah.
Jonas, who was actually inspired to have a session. Do you know about this?
No, I don't know.
Oh,
That's
no.
at all. I've had a few issues with my Google Plus
Yes.
account recently.
Right.
So anyway.
Yeah. So no, Jonas had actually done a session modelled on what we've been
Oh,
doing.
really? I've got.
Yeah, but what he did is he shared all of the records that him and his 2 or 3 mates had done the next day.
Nice.
Yeah.
Great.
So hi,
Yeah.
Jonas.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Anders as well. You have to say that what a great little thread that was. Music that moves me.
Yeah.
Really enjoyed that. JC68,
Yeah.
big star.
Roger.
Chris.
Yeah.
Yeah, lovely.
Blake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bostonian Reggie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All good.
Very
And
good.
as soon as I sort myself out with my Google Plus, I'll be watching and replying to videos.
Great stuff. Have a good February.
Indeed.
See you soon.
Love and peace.